and welcome to Thrift Shop Biography. This is the one about Tina Turner. Thank you for listening. Hello.
Hello.
What book have you been reading this week?
Probably the same as yours.
Tina Turner?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not. There's two.
Yeah, it's not I, Tina.
It's not I, Tina, which was her first. It's the second one. It's called...
Is it called My Love Story?
It is.
Yeah.
I have an idea of what the original one was because it talks about when she wrote it.
Yes.
In this book.
And it's a well-known kind of story anyway. Her history and stuff has been made into a film.
Exactly.
We kind of know it.
Yeah, and I was worried at first, wasn't I, that this book wouldn't be good enough because it might not go back to the start. And it does.
Yeah.
But it doesn't dwell too much in a painstaking way about all the brutality of her younger days. It skips over it. You have to relive it with her.
This is from her perspective as an older woman, whereas the one before, it was quite soon after.
She was still coming out of it, yeah. That was her story. Mm-hmm. And now it's just a distant part of her story that she's left behind. It's nice to read it from that perspective. Yeah. It's less harrowing.
Do you know what? My favourite books that we've read so far are from the older people talking about their whole lives with the wisdom of that older person. Yeah. Like the Jane Fonda one and the Betty Davis one.
Yes.
Yeah. So were you a fan of Tina Turner?
Yeah. She's the original Beyonce.
That's
how I see her. Mm-hmm. And I've seen an interview where Beyonce says pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. And she's like, if I could only strive to be as good as Tina Turner, I'd be really proud of myself. But Tina started it.
Yeah. I tried to think of another woman from that era who holds her own with the big, like with Freddie Mercury, Rod Stewart, Elton John. Tina, she just does it. Yeah. She seems to do it so effortlessly.
Yeah. Through revisiting her life, I really get that she was a massive contender in a man's world. Mm-hmm. And the reason people like the Rolling Stones and Bowie, they embraced her and took her. It's because she had as much energy as them on stage or in real life. She could just keep up with them.
I think Ike was probably so brutal with her because he was just so threatened by her, by that energy and that dominance that she has.
I mean, you could debate this for ages. Or did 16 years of beating actually make her just nothing to lose? Absolutely affect her. Which came first, you know?
Well, we'll find out as we go through her life story. So she wasn't always called Tina Turner, was she?
She wasn't. She was called Anna May Bullock.
Bullock. I mean, to be fair, if my name was Bullock, I would change it.
Yeah. Yeah, not that she changed it herself on purpose.
It's true. Oh, hang on, Sandra Bullock.
Oh, yeah.
She never changed her name.
Oh, and I don't laugh at her name.
No, it's true.
Are you laughing at
No. Bullock is a weird name for a film star like Sandra Bullock. Why would she not change it?
It's an all right name.
Bullock.
Same to you. Americans don't really use the word bollocks, so they probably don't think that it's a funny name.
Oh.
Because it's not that funny unless it's very similar to bollocks.
Bollocks.
Yeah. Moving on.
So she's born in 1939.
Yes. Right on the brink of war. Okay, her childhood. Her mum didn't really love her dad. She was brought up with a lot of arguing, a lot of whipping with the switch. Oh. She had an older sister who she really did get on with.
Aileen. Is that how you say it?
I have no idea, because it's just in a book.
Yeah.
Aileen. Anyway, then her mum left when she was 11, and I don't know how good a job her dad did. She seemed like she was pushed around from pillar to post.
Yeah,
cousins, grandparents.
Her mum left when she was 11, so it's just her and her sister and her dad. And then her dad left when she was 13.
Yeah.
Then
grandparents and cousins.
they got shoved around cousins and stuff. Went to live with the strict granny. And then Tina Turner No, she's not called Tina Turner yet.
No.
Anna May Bullock didn't like living with the strict granny, so she went to live with the nicer granny, and then the nicer granny died.
Yeah.
But by that time, she's an older teenager.
Yeah, she's already, and she gets a job looking after a baby in a white family.
Oh, yes.
And they really loved each other, and there was total peace and harmony, and it showed her for the first time that was even an option.
Yeah.
You could grow up being nice to each other and stuff. She got a taste for another life, which she didn't get for many years.
And she always, throughout this book, she's quite a homemaker, and she really likes decorating and looking after the house. And she says she got that from this white family that she babysat for. So they really influenced her, actually.
She was really, really hot on interior design and fashion. which became massive parts of her life, both things.
She was already, as a child, she was known as a singer, right? Because she just had this amazing voice that came from...
born singing, and she sang every occasion, and she didn't emphasise church so much as picnics. They had these picnics. It was a big thing, a big black community thing where they all just sang. She sang her heart out.
Yeah. So she became known as Little Anna May so she's always kind of known in smaller circles as a singer.
Yeah, she's just got music.
It was just in her, yeah.
And she doesn't go into depth about it. And then because obviously if you really wanted to read that time, you'd go to the first book.
You go to the first book.
If you want to do further research.
Yes.
Tina. And then she talks about when she's 17, she moves to a larger town because her mum's there, which is a proper big town with stuff going on in a nightlife. And Ike and his band have become very popular.
The Kings of Rhythm.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's from Clarksdale, which is down south of the Mississippi. She was in Nutbush, just off Highway 19 in Tennessee.
That's in the song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I drove past it last year.
Did you?
And we went to Clarksdale, and I found out that Ike was from there. So I was walking around there thinking, no, oh my God, Ike Turner was from here, this little ghost town place, which is still the heart of blues to this day. Quite a lot of other legends of blues were from this tiny town, and Tennessee Williams as well. So I was interested to find out anything I could about it, and all she mentions is about his childhood. Is that he saw his father getting beaten by white people and had a slow and painful death because of it.
Oh, my God.
Because he'd been messing with a white woman or something.
Okay.
Any excuse. That's all she mentions of his childhood, and which has obviously left him with a massive amount of anger. And also women were always embarrassed to be seen with him because he's kind of ugly.
Well, I was really surprised.
I don't see him as ugly, do you?
Well, yeah, I don't think
he's not Harry Belafonte.
Nobody is Harry Belafonte.
Harry Belafonte. But he's not ugly. She says it quite a few times.
Yeah, she really wants us to know that she thinks Ike Turner is ugly.
Yeah, it's strange.
But not like even when she first met him. She actually says she goes for clean-cut athletic guys who are dressed in denim. And she says that Ike's skinny body, all edges and sharp cheekbones, he looked old to me, even though he was 25. She's 17. I'd never seen anyone so thin. I couldn't help thinking, God, he's ugly.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah, it comes up a few times.
Yeah.
It's strange. And she says that women were embarrassed to be seen with him. So between the anger of his childhood and his dad and this, that's what drove him to become someone. And that actually is what made him probably such a bastard, because he was just treating people like making sure they knew he was someone.
Yeah, right.
Which is sad.
Yeah. So him and the Kings of Rhythm are playing gigs, and Tina Turner and Anna Mae Bullock and her sister are going to watch him.
Yeah.
And there's a part in the show where Ike hands around the microphone for pretty girls to sing. And she says that he keeps ignoring her.
Yeah.
He hands a microphone to girls that she says are prettier and sexier. Yeah. I would like to know who's prettier and sexier than Tina Turner.
Kathleen. Oh, but at this point, her sister Aileen is going out with one of the band. Yeah, that's why they keep going to see them. So he hands the microphone to her, she pushes it away, and Tina goes, I'm having that, and then let's rip.
The rest is history.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because once he's heard that voice, there ain't no going back.
That was her moment that changed her life.
Yeah, she seized it, literally.
Yeah.
He doesn't find her attractive either, though. They go on for ages.
Oh, she's like brother and sister.
Yeah.
And then she starts romancing Mr. Raymond Hill, who's the saxophonist.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for a while, once she's joined the band, she's going out with one of the band, not Ike. I mean, they're just not attracted to each other at all.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she thinks he's ugly.
Yeah.
And he doesn't think she's very pretty or very sexy.
It's a sad state of affairs, because the way it seems to develop is it's a control thing and a power thing.
Total control. Because when he names her, because obviously he names her Tina Turner, he gives her his surname.
Yeah, saying Ike and Tina Turner. Yeah, I would have assumed they were married at that point, wouldn't you?
100%.
And they absolutely weren't.
Just
it
weren't.
was just so that he could own
her,
so she couldn't leave.
Yeah. And she ends up, because she's seeing the saxophonist Raymond Hill, she ends up having his baby. But he breaks his foot and goes home to Clarksdale, and she never sees him again.
I know.
Within a year, she's pregnant with Ice Baby.
Yeah, so the first one's Craig.
Yeah.
He's the one she obviously really loves, who's a sweet-sounding person.
But Ike would tell her not to mother him so much. Didn't want him growing up a sissy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As in loved at all.
Yes.
No signs of affection should be shown to this child.
Yeah.
And then she has his child. He's exactly the same. And he's got 2 kids from another marriage.
Yeah.
So he brings them in.
So there's 4 boys all together. Yeah. They're all a very similar age, aren't they?
Yeah. I know. They're between 2 and 4.
Yeah. Ike Jr. and Michael are the ones from his previous marriage. And then Craig is the one that Tina has with the saxophonist. And Ronnie is the boy who Ike and Tina Turner have together.
Yeah. So how old is she? By the time they move to LA, she's about 18.
Well, by the time she has Ike's child, she's 21.
21. They move to LA. She's suddenly the mother of 4 boys between 2 and 4.
Oh, God.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And she's not really allowed to be affectionate to them. And they're on tour the whole time.
Yeah, she's working hard.
And they leave the boys at home. I think they've just got relatives, nannies, whatever they've got. Because he does seem to have money. He's had a few hits by the time she meets him. I mean, Ike and Tina Turner, they were legendary. And they toured all around America. And they toured to Britain. And had a much better reception in Britain and Europe, didn't they?
Yeah. I'm amazed. I mean, you say he's got money. It's because he never used to pay Tina Turner.
No.
She would get looked after, i.e. she had somewhere to live and get her food and stuff. But he never used to actually give her money.
No.
He was keeping it all for himself.
Yeah.
Oh, when he named her Tina Turner, he trademarked that name.
Yeah, right.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was very controlling.
Absolutely.
It's an odd marriage, isn't it? Because neither of them are attracted to each other. So it's interesting that she did get pregnant and have his child. I wonder if he did almost that as a form of control, so she'd always be connected to him.
Oh, look, I'm going to get this over with because I wrote this down because it's awful. Quote, sex with Ike had become an expression of hostility, a kind of rape, especially when it began or ended with a beating. I mean, honestly, I know that film showed it, so obviously our other book goes into detail about that. I'm quite glad to be spared it and just have it in a sentence, because that's awful.
And do you know what they did on their wedding night?
Yeah, they got married in Tijuana, but it was a long time after they'd been together as Ike and Tina. So it was like, right, let's make this legal.
I think it was a business trip. She said, out of the blue, he just said, you want to marry me? Just like that, gruff, terse, no niceties. Yeah. So obviously it wasn't a romantic gesture on his part. He just wanted to establish even more control over Tina Turner.
Yeah.
And then they got married.
So they went to Tijuana because he found out it's cheap and quick. That's Mexico, obviously. It's the hot dog border. And then he took her to a whorehouse.
And they spent their wedding night in a whorehouse.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just so disgusting.
Yeah, she found revolting. But then she also describes all the years they spent together. She is just his bitch, basically, isn't she? She really is, and he's kind of a pimp to her. So all the time they were together, he had many other women, a bit like Bobby Brown and Whitney. But he didn't even try to hide it. He was a really nasty piece of work. All the backing singers, one of them would be his girl at one time or another. Even their friend, who was the only white woman who worked with them, what's her name? Rhonda. She was even his girlfriend for a while. Oh. She said it was kind of awkward for a while, but Tina understood because it was him being manipulative. Yeah. So there wasn't a woman around that he didn't have. Some of them were sometimes pregnant even, she said.
Yeah, right.
So it was like living in a whorehouse. She was a whore. Which is like, well, you know what I mean? She was whored out. It's desperate, really. And she was with him for how long? 16 years?
Yeah, long time. I mean, I get why she stayed with him, because he was very clever at manipulating her and getting her into that position where he became her main source of income. Not that she was getting any money, but that was her life, and she had her kids. She was trapped.
Yeah, I know.
And because they did have fame and success, even though she wasn't reaping monetary reward, that was kind of like her living in a way.
It was. And she says she never felt loved. She never felt loved by her mum or her dad. So she has it set in her mind that love doesn't matter. Love isn't has never been part of her life, so why should it be now?
What's love got to do with it?
Yeah. But weirdly, that's why it's kind of her anthem.
Yeah, right.
Because everybody knew her story by the time that song came out. And you could really see what she was singing about.
So they're really successful, like gigging and stuff, aren't they? And then there's a song called A Fool in Love that Ike had written for a male singer who didn't turn up. And the studio was booked, so Tina Turner then sang lead on that song, and it became a hit. That was their first massive hit. Then they really did gig just like non-stop, didn't they?
Yeah. Oh, I'd like to add that another reason she didn't even think about escaping is that her own mother, that she calls Ma, loved him. She always said, he's the best thing ever happened to you.
She always sided with him.
Yeah, she stuck with him their entire lives. Even when she was rich and famous and looking after her, she still sided with Ike.
I know.
And Ike even went to her funeral. Tina didn't, and Ike did. So where do you run to?
Yeah.
You're on your own if your mum doesn't see. That's a problem.
But Tina Turner was always really loyal to her mum.
She was.
Like Mariah Carey was, like Elton John was.
Yeah.
She really provided for her and looked after her whole life, even though her mum was a bitch to her.
Yeah, I know. Eventually, who is it? Betty Davis's daughter, who you couldn't understand why she would still be around if it was that bad. Eventually, you're going to have to realise that there's something weird happens to people. Yeah. The families where it's like this magnet.
Yeah.
Draw. Well, ultimately, you just want their approval, and that keeps them coming back.
I wonder if it's because when you become massively famous and you have all this adoration, which to a certain extent isn't real, it's not personal. I wonder then it just makes your family bonds so much more important to you because that's real. And even if you're not getting it from your mum, maybe you try and give that back to your mum and provide for her, so at least it's coming from you, even if you're not getting it back. I don't
God
know.
knows, just guessing. Yeah.
Yes.
It's nuts though.
It's Nutbush.
It is. Oh, so yeah, her school as well is now a museum. They moved it to her town, so there's some retribution. There's something about her child that was interesting because she's dyslexic, undiagnosed.
Oh, yes.
So she always felt ashamed of herself, that she wasn't good enough. She's unloved and not good enough. And now that school is a museum to her, so it's all turned around and she can be proud of herself. Proud Mary.
So we know Ike's an arsehole, don't we?
Yes,
we don't need to fill in the
that.
gaps too much. Do you know that he used to fine members of the band and the backing singers for even like the...
James Brown did that, and then even Prince.
Oh, really?
Yes. So the
keeping them all in line.
Yeah. But then they said sometimes they got fined so much they had to pay to be in the bloody band. Oh. That's going a bit far.
It is going a bit far.
Moving on.
So they're a really established act at this, but all through the 60s, a really established act. Ike and Tina Turner everywhere. Oh, they've been supporting like the Rolling Stones, right?
Playing at the Apollo. It's another thing would have kept her with them. She's living her musical dream, and she says every time they're on stage and the music starts, even though she's got half a brain on making sure she does nothing wrong, the music and the bond with the other singers is her happy place. So she does have a happy place.
Yeah.
She's great. And then she gets a little taste of freedom when Phil Spector asks her pimp Ike if he can borrow Tina for a song.
River Deep Mountain High.
Yeah.
I mean, what a classic.
And he goes, yeah, all right, it'll cost you 20 grand. And he takes that money and sends Tina off with nothing in her pocket.
She doesn't get anything for it.
Nothing. But she's got a taste of freedom. And it's life-changing, isn't it? Because he says, don't sing like that. Sing it how you want. Sing it from your soul. And she finds that the way Ike's been telling her to sing isn't the only way. And it's massively liberating.
But you know what? Ike, being the clever businessman he is, only agreed to let her go if that single could be released as Ike and Tina Turner, even though he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
The only good thing about any of that is that we know that once she paid off all her debts and everything, she's singing these songs in stadiums and she's cleaning up.
Yes.
She gets paid in the end. Big time.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
What's amazing about River Deep Mountain High is it wasn't a hit in America.
Yes, I know. It was the Brits and the Europeans.
We took it right to the top of the charts.
It.
But America, they have that weird thing where it's not black enough for black radio and not white enough for pop radio. And it really...
we didn't have black radio.
No.
Well, that I know of. I mean...
Well, I might have had some pirate radios and stuff, but we didn't have a mainstream.
Not in the same extent that it is in America. Yeah. So we just took it on as great music.
Oh, it's undeniable. I would say River Deep Mountain High is probably one of the best songs ever recorded. It's phenomenal.
I'm not going to dispute that.
And it's that whole Phil Spector wall of sound, which is amazing. But Tina Turner has the vocals to match it.
Did Sonny and Cher sing on the background of that? Or was
they were already established at that point. They did the earlier stuff, I think. Yeah, you're right. She has her taste of freedom, which is really important in her story because about now, in 1968, she actually tries to take her own life.
Yeah.
Did you know that? I was so shocked to read it. Because I know her story and I've seen that film. And it's like, I don't know.
I haven't watched it since I watched it, if you know what I mean, which is probably early 90s, because you just don't need to watch that twice.
Maybe they showed her like taking an overdose and going to hospital, but it didn't stick in my mind that she tried to take her own life.
Say, die, motherfucker.
Oh,
you
God.
should be dead, motherfucker.
Well, they couldn't bring her round at the beginning, and then the next day when she woke up, she said the first thing she saw was Ike's face, and he said, "You should have died, you motherfucker."
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there's ever been a worse person to walk the earth. He's awful.
I know, he's goes without saying.
But anyway, she's really, really low at this point, which is incredible because she's just... I should have said this at the beginning when we were talking about what we feel about her. I love her. She's a legend. I watched an interview with her once. I don't know if it was with Oprah, and it really annoyed me because she said in that interview, I think it was Oprah, said to her, "Would you do it all again?" And Tina Turner said no. And I was really shocked because you see her and she's this amazing rock star who packs out stadiums. She said the good times never made up for the bad times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think now, knowing that she attempted to take her own life...
So many years she was being treated like that.
Yeah.
And it's like being a prisoner, but you're on stage as that prisoner for 16 odd years or something. That's horrific. She
said that the beatings were so frequent, it got to the point where she couldn't remember what it was like to not have a black eye. Oh. Ike was never held accountable for that.
He died, quite old, about 2007 or something. I mean,
he got in trouble for other things like drugs and stuff. But I mean, I think publicly he's paid for being an arsehole because of Tina's story,
outed
right?
him. Yeah, he must have, although he had the money.
But he never, once she left him and all of this story came out, he never really popped up on anything. Quite often people from that era... Wanted. Yeah. You know how like musicians from that era constantly pop up on stuff, even if they're not currently in the charts and stuff. You see people... Ike Turner, I've never really seen him playing on anything or duetting with anyone or coming on to do a guest spot in anybody's band. I think people kind of... Because Tina had everyone on her side.
Yeah, she did.
She had the Stones, Bowie, Rod Stewart.
Yeah, that's true.
I would say, though, in terms of like his legacy, I don't think people really quote him now. If you think about all those great artists from that era who people say influence them and stuff, you never hear Ike Turner.
That's true. It's not my area of expertise, so I couldn't say.
Oh, no, but I think it's because people don't. If anyone would know, I think it would be you. You know all about Ray Charles and Quincy Jones and James Brown. Yeah, you do. You know all of that. And if you don't know Ike Turner, it's because he's literally not... Yeah, he's not being mentioned.
Yeah, they're not coming on the back of...
Yeah, he's not part of it. He's not.
All right, then, good. He doesn't deserve to be.
No, he doesn't.
Awarded. Anyway, by this point, he was a Coke addict. His cocktail was Coke and peach brandy, which actually sounds quite appealing. But obviously it sent him into a spiralling nut job raging. Yeah. If he was already bad, you can only imagine how much worse that made him. And arrogant with it. But then she got another taste of freedom because she got the part of the Acid Queen in Tommy.
Amazing.
Which I just watched a few days ago for the first time in my life.
Oh, wow.
So imagine how brain-pickling that was. It's like, what?
Hugely entertaining.
I didn't even know what it was about. I knew it was about a pinball wizard. Deaf, dumb, and blind. That's all I knew. I knew something to do with Elton John, and then I suddenly saw him on the stage in his ridiculous giant outfit. Yeah. It was fantastic. But Tina Turner.
She's amazing. Was
phenomenal in her 5 minutes. Yeah. Phenomenal.
It's a star turn for sure.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
You probably just Google it, just watch that. It'll save your brain exploding.
Again, she's holding her own against all those other people. Yeah.
She's so great. I really want to watch some more of these things. Because later on she was in Mad Max.
Yeah, Anti-Entity. Yeah, amazing. It's interesting that she didn't do more movies because she's such a magnetic presence.
We know through the Quincy Jones that she was trying to get Spielberg to let her be Indiana Jones.
I know, right? Well, he wanted her. He got her in to test her for Indiana Jones. I mean, that's an insane... In a way, I wish that we could slip into another paradigm.
Indiana Jones is genius, so let's leave it there, but let's go back in time and make Tina Turner's own Indiana Jones film.
Was it a surprise to you that she was, like, in awe of Jackie Kennedy?
Yeah, it's quite an odd hero to have.
Yeah, but she said that after... Because she met her and just went to pieces. And then she started wearing pearls. Yeah. But you see, this is the thing. You know, from that white couple that she babysat for, who did have an influence on her. Yeah. Like, when she met Cher... She said Cher was really surprised that when she turned up at the studio before filming, Tina Turner would be wearing a silk shirt and trousers and like a string of pearls, like a lady. Yeah. So it's interesting to think that Tina, because her onstage persona is so raunchy rock. Yes. Like in real life, she's models herself on Jackie O.
Her aspirations are to be rich, sophisticated, all these things, and modelled on white models because there was no Oprah then. There was no Michelle Obama.
And she ended up living in Switzerland as a rich white lady.
She kind of did, yeah. It's so interesting because we're reading Malcolm X alongside this, aren't we? But I really understand what he says about how without those role models, a lot of black people latched onto white role models.
Aspired to be white people.
The moment where I'm at, he was like, that's wrong. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be doing that. But you can see at this point in time why somebody might, because they want out. They want out of their environment, and they only see that as an out.
But also because she's driven by success and has dreams. Who's the richest woman in America at that point? Probably Jackie Kennedy Onassis. You know, she married Aristotle Onassis. She's the richest woman in the world. Yeah. So that's who you would, if you were Tina Turner, you would aspire to be someone that.
1976, a massive fight in the limo. Doesn't sound any different from any other. She mentions she's got an Yves Saint Laurent suit on, which is white, and there's blood spattered all over it. And that's the night where she says, that's enough.
Well, she fights back.
Is it? It's the first time she's ever fought back.
It's not clear, right? But it does sound like this is the point where she says enough and she starts hitting back. But that's why he beats her up so badly. Because she's hit him back. Yeah. And he does really do a number on her.
Yeah, he really does. And she has to act normal and get ready for the show. She's unbelievable that that's just expected. And she goes through those motions and then does a runner. I think in the rest period before the show.
Ike's passed out on the bed in the hotel room. She just grabs her bags and runs.
Yeah, she's got 36 cents and a battered face and a blood-spattered white suit. And she crosses this massive lane traffic. Oh, my
God, I know.
And comes to a Ramada Hotel, and she says to the manager, obviously looking like a battered woman, she tells him what's happened and that she's in a band, she's like Tina Turner band, and he believes her, takes pity on her and lets her have a sweet and gets her soup and crackers and stuff. It's so fantastic that this lovely man didn't turn her away. That's a big part of it.
You know, in the film, this was the one scene that's always stuck with me.
Is it?
Yeah, because she literally turns up at a hotel desk.
Probably shaking, I bet she's shaking. Yeah. Because she's never tried to run away before, has she?
No, she's thought about it. And you know what it is? It's that River Deep Mountain High. It's playing the Acid Queen in Tommy. She's had glimpses, actually, that she could have a life and career without Ike. Yeah. And I think those two things really emboldened her. And I think she thought about it a lot. If she'd never fought back before, probably knew it was going to provoke Ike into doing something terrible to her, which she did. And then she just ran. But like part of that is having nothing and having to start from the bottom again. And she literally did. She ran with 36 cents across a flipping multi-lane highway. I mean, she could have been killed. It sounds terrifying in the book.
Anyway,
I'm so pleased she did. Yeah.
She's got freedom. You're right, because she actually went to London to do the Acid Queen. Yeah. Yeah, she was in London and hanging out with the Rolling Stones and Bowie and all those people. Yeah. Hanging out with Anne Margaret on TV special and stuff, where she's actually making friends without fear. finding out what a daily life might be without fear.
Oh, she says in this book, she says that I could never let her have friends. So, like, then actually going with that, it's amazing actually that he did let her go.
Yeah, it's nuts. Well, he'd have been taking the money.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like he did with River Deep. Yeah,
habit.
yeah, he's pimping her out.
Yeah, and he's only thinking of that. He doesn't believe she'll leave him.
Yeah,
and she's 37. And as much as I knew her life, I didn't ever know she was as old as that when she became her own solo artist.
Yeah.
Because by the time she got hit, she was about 41.
Yeah.
Well, I never looked at her and thought she was an older woman when I was a kid. Like, Phil Collins was an old man. He was probably about 25. Tina was just ageless.
It's amazing that she did turn all this around in the 80s, in the music industry at that age.
Yeah. Well, she had some good friends. Let's tell the story of that.
So she has nothing, and Rhonda... She's got back in touch with Rhonda. Assistant. Yeah, and so she's working with her now. And Rhonda now is getting on the phone and trying to get Tina Turner work, just as Tina Turner.
She has bills to pay. First, Ike tries to come after her. Then he sends goons to try and kill them.
Oh my God, they put a hitman out on her.
Hitman, yeah.
Oh, he also sends the boys to live with her because he thinks he pays for a month's rent for the boys because he thinks, she's never going to be able to do that. She's going to have to come back.
Exactly.
Well, actually, she did.
All 4 boys are with her, so she has to pay the rent. So she has to gig because it's the only thing she can do. So thank God for Rhonda trying to sort this out.
Yeah.
And then eventually he dumps all of the debts from cancelling the tour onto her. So she has to work to pay that off.
So Ike didn't want to divorce her and she tried to push it through. She just wanted to end that part of her life and move on. And she agreed to not take anything other than a Jaguar.
2 Jags.
2 Jags, that's right. Ike got her one and
Sammy Davis Jr.
got her another one. She loves her cars, doesn't she?
Yeah.
All she took from it, like no money, she took the Jaguars and the name Tina Turner.
Yeah.
She got it back off of Ike and he agreed to it and then they divorced.
Yeah.
So Rhonda was then just booking her cabaret shows and stuff. And Rhonda was inviting management and record companies to the cabaret shows, but they wouldn't come. And she was in San Francisco doing these shows. And there was this young manager called Roger who was linked to Capitol Records. And they said, okay, we'll come. But every night she said she would come out. And sometimes she was playing to 20. This is like Cher and Elton John. Sometimes they played to like 20 people, but they would still do the best shows ever. On the last night in San Francisco, Roger came with a guy from Capitol Records and they loved her and they signed her up. But what's amazing is that Roger was also the manager of Olivia Newton-John.
I know what you're going to say. I knew you'd love this pop fact.
I know. I love it when I learn new stuff that I didn't know. He had the demo for Physical and he gave it to Tina Turner first.
She didn't want it.
She didn't want it. He gave it to Olivia Newton-John and it became the biggest selling single of the 1980s in America.
Insane.
But
it would be different with Tina. It's not her voice.
It's not her voice, but she knows it. And she says that's why she turned it down. And she said, it's okay. I know my song will come at the right time. Yes. That's amazing.
Well, she knows music.
If she'd have taken Physical, that might have been a minor hit and it might have bombed.
Might have gone away.
And Olivia Newton-John might not have had that massive, amazing 80s success.
I've never met Cliff.
So by Tina Turner turning that down, potentially Olivia Newton-John and Tina Turner went on and had massive careers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know their stuff.
Yeah.
That's just knowledge. Good knowledge.
And then Roger started getting her gigs like in New York and stuff.
Like the Ritz in New York. And that's when Rod Stewart comes. And that really changes her life because he absolutely loves it. And he gets her to go on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, amazing. To do hot legs. Yeah.
Good choice because her legs are pretty legendary.
Yes, they are. And that's amazing exposure for her.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live on her own. Yeah. And then
the second
one was the Rolling Stones, and they asked her to open on their North American tour. So on her own,
as Tina Turner,
doing stadiums with the Rolling Stones.
She can finally have fun. Imagine how much fun they had. She does talk about how they just take the piss out of each other all the time. And it sounds brilliant. Then, so much fun. Oh yeah, so that changed her life then. So she's still a supporting act. So 2 years later, do the Ritz again, and David Bowie is there. And he's been in a meeting that afternoon at Atlantic Records, and he says, I'm going to see Tina Turner tonight, and it starts a stampede. And everyone goes, I want to see, but I want to see. So they all go down there, and then they all go, okay, she's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's just good friends. She's got and they're real friends too, aren't they?
Yeah. And they all massively rate her.
Yeah, really rate her.
Yeah, because
they really love each other.
Yeah, they do. And they continue to play and duet all throughout their careers. So Capitol signed her for a deal.
And she goes to Abbey Road.
With Heaven 17.
Yes, that's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
I meant to look up their song. Can you remember?
Oh, Let's Stay. Who? Heaven 17. Well, they did Temptation. They had quite a few hits in the early 80s.
They were. I knew I had one on a Weetabix tape.
Yeah. But very like electro synth driven early 80s sound. So again, not the obvious choice actually for Tina Turner, who is essentially rock at this point, rock and R&B.
Yes, it's actually having some vision to go, let's take her in a whole new direction and reinvent this person, because if you're churning out the same old stuff, you're not going to have.
And again, at the age of 40, they've this isn't a done deal. She's got a record deal, but they have to work hard to make this work, to sell it to the public. Yes. So they record the cover of Al Green's Let's Stay Together, and it's a hit. It's getting her back out there again. Yeah. And so now, because of that, they think, okay, we're going to need an album. And so Roger goes out to source other demos and stuff, and he comes back with a song called What's Love Got to Do with It?
Yes. She hated it.
She hated it.
Probably because it was really her story in a way, and she was trying to leave that behind. But she just thought, right, I'll go for it, and added all the raw emotion to it. She also thought it was a weak song, actually. Yeah,
I think because of the tempo and stuff. And she likes rocking out on stage, and it's really just like a mid-tempo, almost ballad. But they encouraged her to put her own spin on it, and so she made it a Tina Turner song, basically.
I saw this interview with her, and she doesn't like singing it. She still doesn't like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She never enjoyed singing it live. She's crazy.
Really?
She said in this interview, I found a way to make it more fun for myself. I've changed it up a bit to make it something I can enjoy. Oh, it's nice, isn't it?
Can I tell you what else I found really weird from these sessions for the Private Dancer album? Is that Mark Knopfler of Dire Straits had the song Private Dancer that he'd written for himself
to sing.
How does that even work?
I've got flashes of Alan Partridge.
Yeah. In his little
G-string Toblerone stuff.
It's so weird that he wrote that for himself.
Maybe you should try singing this. It might be better if a woman sings it. Hello. Let's go. All
just
those
a
dancing
bit.
clubs where all those blokes are. Well, there are some, but is that really what Mark Knopfler wants to project?
He could have invented Magic Mike.
Yes.
But in his head, do you think that when did the Chippendales become famous, like the early 80s? Do you think Mark Knopfler watched the Chippendales and thought, I could do that? I'm going to write a song about me doing that. It's so weird.
Yeah. Anyway, that was another massive hit.
Massive hit. So the album's coming together.
Yeah.
She's on the road with Lionel Richie.
Yeah, support again, though.
Yeah. I bet that's his year where hello.
Hi.
He's the biggest thing in pop at the moment.
She's doing arenas, and that was her dream to do arenas.
And she's, because the two singles have been out, Let's Stay Together, What's Love Got to Do with It, the audience are singing it back to her. So she's like, it's happening.
It's a really good night out. If you pay for Lionel Richie, you get Tina Turner.
Yeah. So she's well on. The album's out and it sells, doesn't it?
And they're doing videos on MTV. She's doing videos, so she's really up and up.
Yep.
And she meets Bryan Adams, age 24, young lad.
I love that song. They did It's Only Love.
Yeah,
I bought the single, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, it's great.
It's really nice. They've got such a nice rapport together.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Like, Tina Turner, I don't know if she just brings the best out in everyone, but when you see her, like, duetting with people, something magic happens. Yeah. I think these men are just so in awe of her.
Yeah. I reckon they raise their game, though, don't you?
Yeah.
She just gives it her all every time. And she's one of those people who really embodies a song and really, really lives the story of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I've ended up watching loads of her because of reading this book. You do, don't you, though?
Yeah.
Oh.
That brings us on to her and David Bowie.
Yeah.
Because I actually sent you a video a couple of weeks ago about them singing Tonight together, and the charisma between them is off the charts.
Yeah. It's almost Get a Room.
Yeah. And there's this very famous clip now which has become a bit legend because David Bowie whispers something in Tina Turner's ear which makes her roar with laughter.
I reckon he yells it.
Okay. Yeah. And, you know, they're dancing so seductively together and stuff. And it's just, you look at them and just think, oh my God, this is the perfect partnership.
Yeah.
But she ruined it in this book for me because she said that nothing ever happened between them. And in my head, they had the best rock and roll affair of all time.
But actually, they're great friends and they absolutely love each other.
I'm choosing to ignore Tina Turner.
Do you? Because I'm like, she still could be lying to us, but she's very honest in this book.
She's very honest in this book. But she does finish it by saying that David Bowie is a gentleman. Yeah. And I kind of don't think he is, actually.
Well, Lulu wouldn't say so. A lot of other people wouldn't. I mean, gentleman, yes, but gentleman.
Oh, yeah, no, she means gentleman, like in that he doesn't shag around. Of course he does.
Well, what I learned through this book is she seems that she's got this amazing sexual energy. Of course, we must take into account what she relates sex to, which is not a fun thing at all. Right. And she's had about 16 years of that. And so she actually says that she doesn't sleep with a lot of people and people would be amazed how long she went without any men. Yeah, and she said one of her fears is because she wore a wig for most of her life. She's got very little hair. And one of her fears is that people will go to bed with this wild Tina Turner woman and wake up with Anna May. And that keeps her from being too intimate. Yeah. So I think she lets it all out in her performance and friendships and everything. But the intimacy, I think she probably holds at bay.
You're right, because don't forget, off stage, she's silk shirts and pearl necklaces, you know.
I don't think she is that person.
Yeah.
And that's why when she meets the love of her life, there's this instant ping of love, like hearts in the air.
It's very sweet.
Mutual, which is what's so amazing about it.
I love the fact that so they meet each other at the airport. He works for the record company in Germany. And then they get in the car, he takes her to the hotel, and they just talk nonsense to each other because they're so... I think they both realise they've fallen in love already.
They don't know what to say because they can't say anything honest, so they talk around everything.
They talk about the car. Yeah. About what the features on the dashboard or something. Because
they're both really thrown off.
Yeah.
Because they've both met the loves of their lives.
Yeah, amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
No wonder it's a love story. Yeah, so it takes them a while, a really long time. And she keeps setting up all these meetings with the whole company so that just to get him in the dining table or him to her house. Yeah, a few different countries, I think, before they finally get together in America.
He nearly blows it, though.
Yeah, I know, weird.
Because there's that point where they've had a nice couple of evenings and stuff together, and it's like the early flourishes of dating, and then...
Well, then he actually stays over, which is massive to her. As you can imagine, it is actual love-making, not rape or beatings. Only if you knew what she's been through could you understand how utterly exciting, and she says she's like a juvenile, she's like a kid having a first love, really, and he doesn't realise that. He probably thinks she's this wild promiscuous woman, right? And so he doesn't call her for 2 weeks.
She thinks she hasn't heard from him because he's on this work trip he was going, but the work trip was cancelled. And then she's really shocked to find out, well, he's still here and he hasn't got back in touch with me.
But he thinks she is wild and promiscuous because she'd said to him at one point when they're having early meetings, when you come to America, I want you to make love to me. He's thinking, wow, she's this wild, crazy pop star. He doesn't realise she's never said anything like that in her entire life, how much this all means. She said... After we stayed over, she got any photos that they were together, I think it was from that night, got printed and put them in frames and put them all around the house immediately. He doesn't know who she is yet.
It is a bit full on, to be honest.
It is. But he doesn't realise. But anyway, it's all good because he absolutely loves her back and they...
But also, it would be a massive thing if you were somebody who worked for a record company and Tina Turner came.
Yes.
Why would you assume that amazing woman would be interested in you anyway? Even if you had a nice time together, you would think it might just be this fleeting thing that they do in every city.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not knowing that that's a massive one-off.
And that's kind of self-preservation for yourself in a way, not getting too into it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise she's going to leave town, you're going to be heartbroken. So I kind of get it.
Yeah, I do too. He just has no idea.
Oh my God, what a lucky bastard.
It's really funny because she says, because he likes to do everything right, he goes to his record company and says, I'm beginning a relationship with one of our artists. I know it's not something we should do in the company. Do you want to fire me, sort of thing? And the bloke says really seriously, well, I'd just like to say this. I'm really jealous. The It's really good.
Yeah.
But he's 16 years younger than her as well, so that's another reason he might think he's just
Yeah.
a toy boy being used, chucked away.
Yeah.
But she says that actually she's 16 and he's 60.
Yeah, right.
He does everything so much more sensibly.
Yeah.
So much more mature, and she's so excited by this love.
Yeah, it's very sweet. And they stayed together for the rest of her life.
Right to the end.
Yeah.
He even gave her his lung.
Kidney. What, he gave her his lung as well?
Have a lung. There's not two.
Yes, there is.
That would be... I have no idea. You've got two lungs?
What? Of
I
course.
haven't got a clue.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
hang on. Kidney, lung. I've lost it. What did he give her?
He gave her his kidney.
Stop it. You don't have two of everything.
You have two of things that you can give people one of.
I haven't got a clue. You're not allowed to put this in here.
Oh, but this is staying in. He asked her to marry him back in 1989. They'd been together for 3 years.
Yeah.
She said no.
No, she couldn't handle it. She's been there, done that. Didn't like it.
Weren't ready.
So she had to wait 23 years.
I love that. I love
do too.
that he waited that long to ask her again.
Yeah.
A lot of men would have waited about 3 months.
Well, it's not like he was waiting to ask her. They were just living together and having a life together. They were married, they just weren't married. But 23 years later, it was the right time. And oh my God, did they have a good wedding. By that point, they've got properties everywhere.
Yeah.
She's been doing stadium tours all over the world. Massive. She's a mega, massive, incredibly popular, very rich woman. By the point they actually have a wedding, they've got this massive house in Switzerland overlooking a lake. Sounds absolutely amazing. And they have a full-on event wedding.
Yeah.
The whole place was full of roses. Oprah was there. And it was absolutely magical. She was in a black and dark green dress.
Have you seen the photos in the book? Yeah.
And what's nice is she just goes on and on and on about it like a little girl at her own first
Yeah, do you know what? Because the book opens with the wedding, and I kind of thought, because I didn't know at that point, we've just talked about on-stage Tina Turner and off-stage Tina Turner. I obviously only know on-stage Tina Turner. It surprised me that the book opened with her gushing about this hugely romantic wedding.
Best day of her life, clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, she does the bridesmaids, the dresses. She talks like a little happy girl about her lovely day and her love and all this. It's amazing. Yeah, it's definitely the other side of her. The happy ending, it really is. Very soon after that, it all goes really pear-shaped.
Well, she just gets very ill, doesn't she?
Very ill.
With different things. She has a stroke. And then her
it's one thing after
kidneys
another.
pack up, and her stroke is so bad that she can't sign autographs anymore.
Yeah, she was 73 when she got married for really the first time.
I didn't like reading about all of her illnesses and stuff, and I don't really want to talk about them that much.
I'll write down this. I'll just list it. She had a stroke, vertigo, intestinal cancer, and then kidney failure. It's one thing after another, and she really battled.
And her husband, have we named him yet? His name's Erwin. Have we said that?
No.
Gave her his kidney and prolonged her life by like 6 years. Yeah, because she would have died then if he hadn't.
She would have.
Mind you, I'm sure if they'd gone public and said Tina Turner needs a kidney, I bet lots of people would have.
Actually, that's a good point. But she lived long enough then to be able to see through putting on a musical of Tina Turner.
Yeah.
Which is the next thing that happened. She wasn't up for it at all. It's British. She started in Britain first, didn't it?
Yeah.
In the West End. And they came to see her and talked around. Then she was really involved in it.
Yeah, she enjoyed doing it. And actually really good that she said to the
actress who played her. Yeah, she was like, it was like watching herself. And it's interesting because she says on opening night, the bloke playing Ike was so like him. He looked like him. He acted like him. He completely embodied him. She'd seen it loads. She'd seen it in rehearsals. She'd sat in the theatre for all the previews. But on opening night, something happened where she watched him being utterly vile and she forgave him. That's the point where she forgave him.
Well, he died.
He'd already died.
In 2007 of a cocaine overdose. And she said at that point she was so disconnected from him that it actually didn't really register.
It didn't hurt her at all. She had no feelings. And that's when she realised she really was a different person now than she used to be. And yet, she said she had that feeling where she forgave him. So it was still important to her in a way. Well, of course, that's not really going to leave you. Well, it's never going to leave you what she went through, but It's amazing that was actually a really cathartic experience for her. And to see someone else be her, she said it gave her the feeling of freedom, that she didn't have to be her anymore. She could actually fully go, you've got her now. You've got this musical. I can now sit back and do nothing. Because for years she's just wanted to do nothing.
Yeah, do you know that this is the one thing I love about her? She did her massive tours, even to the point where she thought she wouldn't do another one. There's one she did for the 50th anniversary, which celebrated her whole career. And then she just said, that's it. I'm retiring. And she actually says, because I don't want to go on a couple of years past my prime and have people come and see it and said, oh, you know what, we used to like her when she was good. She got out while she was still good. Let me tell you, there are a few people around at the moment who actually should take her advice.
That's so true, and I can name them. I'm not going to.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to. But Elton John.
Yeah. Did you see Lionel Richie at the coronation?
Oh, no. Paul McCartney should stop as well.
Absolutely. So we're not going to name them. But...
And so you always remember Tina as being amazing.
Yes. But she even did come back for little things, like they did a honour.
The Kennedy Centre honours. Yeah.
And people were singing her songs to her. And one of them was Beyonce. And she was like, wow, this woman's amazing. And then they ended up doing a duet together, which is so good. So at least she did some legendary things like that. But yeah, she did quit when she was ahead. And she just really loved doing nothing.
Yeah.
She is a woman who likes to get 8 hours sleep.
Yes.
Fully back that. It's very good for you. P.S. You know, she talks a lot about her wigs and how she keeps you believing they're real, right? I never believed that the long hair wigs were real. You know, the ones that stay perfectly fluffy in concerts. You always know. But when she's off stage and she's got the shorter wigs, I thought that was her hair. And she says that she makes a big effort to always run her hand through it, even when she's singing. Because now I've started watching these interviews and stuff and performances. I've really noticed how she plays with her hair. It really sells it as her hair. She's so familiar with it. I'm quite amazed at all of its wigs. So we've never seen her head.
Never seen her real hair.
Oh, except in Mad Max when she shaved.
She shaved it.
Bald.
Yeah.
Now,
So, but you still don't see her hair.
That was a wig cap.
Yeah, right.
She must have some hair.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. Amazing.
Favourite Tina Turner song?
What's love got to do with it? But, oh my God, I love Goldeneye. And that's another thing.
Do you love Goldeneye?
Yeah.
She only got that because she lived next door to The Edge.
Oh, how much do you from?
I always thought it was quite a weird song. As she says that she thought it was weird to begin with, but she got into it.
Yeah, she made it her own.
And it's like an update of a Shirley Bassey Bond theme. It's very clever, actually.
Yeah, it is. You too wrote it. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did you always know that?
I always knew that. I was working in our price at the time.
Wow. Excellent. Why, what's yours?
Well, I have many, actually, because I had that Private Dancer album in the 80s. I love Better Be Good to Me. I love We Don't Need Another Hero, actually, from Mad Max. And the best, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. We haven't even mentioned that song.
It's overplayed, right? But it kind of doesn't matter because it survives being overplayed. Every time it comes on, the way that song builds and the way she sings it. And, you know, Diane Warren wrote it. And I've read an interview with Diane Warren, who's written a million songs for a million people. And she says she sat down and she wanted to write a song which was going to be the best song that she'd ever written.
Oh.
And whichever artist it ended up with, it was going to be the best song they ever sang.
Wow.
And then she called it the best and gave it to Tina Turner. And I think it is the best song she's written.
That's really
And I think it's the best song that Tina Turner sang. No, River Deep Mountain High.
Oh, yeah, well, I remember when I was a kid, What's Love Got to Do with It? It had a real impact on me, thinking about what that means.
Okay. What does it mean?
It's just a second-hand emotion. We're always buying second-hand clothes and stuff. It's like, wow, so it's reject, or it's someone gave it away and then someone else picks it up. Oh, really, really made me think.
Whatever love means.
Exactly, though.
That's a little throwback to our Lady Diana episode.
Yes. So there's definitely no doubt that she's influenced my life, and then Beyonce's, and who continues to influence my life.
I kind of suspect that I like all of Tina Turner's songs, actually.
Yeah.
Because it's the voice, it's the intention, it's the charisma. Yeah. She could sing anything and it would be brilliant.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's simply the best.
She's simply the best. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Thrift Shop Biography. We love making this podcast and we're absolutely thrilled that so many of you are already listening. We're new to this and you could really help us out by leaving us a review somewhere, wherever you listen to this podcast. And if you could share us, tell your friends about us or drop some links on social media. We have a Facebook page called Thrift Shop Biography, so make sure you come over there to hear about the episodes first and what else we're up to. Okay, see you next week. And if you're new here, there are loads more episodes now to go and listen in the back catalogue, so make sure you go and enjoy them. Okay, thank you very much.